Alright, Bede, continuing in 2.9. But he himself was rather, with all his mind intent on, or bending, that the race to which he was going, he would be calling them, even though it's present, to a recognition of the truth. Yuxta, according to the accusative, according to the voice of the apostle, or the words of the apostle, he would give a chaste virgin to Christ, the one true sponsor. So that vero is not a adverb, it's part of that set. Cumque in province venicet, typical cum clause. And when he had come into the province, he laboured a lot, multum, so that also these who had come with him, lest they be deficient or they failing in the faith, but the Lord helping, he could contain them or keep them on that true line. And several people, if it was by chance possible, from the or out of the pagans, for the sake of the faith, he could convert them by preaching. And there's add to the gradium. But just as the apostle said, although however much in that time labouring a lot in the word, or as much as he had laboured in that time, the God of this secular or age, who is this, has blinded the minds of the infidels, of the unbelieving, lest by the illumination he should shine to them of the evangeli, that's the gospel, of the glory of Christ. Okay, paragraph. Now, however, next or something, in the sequential year, the next year, there came into the province a certain Sicarius, an assassin, who's with the name Yuma, or Yuma in name. He was sent by the king of the Western Saxons. The king's name was Nomine Querchelmo or whatever. He was hoping himself do something similar. That King Edwin and the kingdom simultaneously in his life he would deprive. Okay, so he was hoping to deprive the King Edwin of this ablative and this ablative, of his kingdom and his life. Qui habebat, who had a sica, a little dagger, bicipitum, means it was two-edged, 2 points or something at the end of it, and it was toxic. So that if the wound of the iron was less sufficient for the death of the king, it would be helped by the pestilence or the toxic venom or whatever's in it, of the venom, of the poison. Pervenated, he came to the king on the first day of Pascha, of Easter, next to or near the river Derwent or something, where then, in that time you might want to say, there was a villa regalis. It was a royal village. Villa sometimes is a house, but it's a village a lot of times. And he introverted as if he was referring or bringing an announcement of his master. And when his simulatum legation, he was volvereting with an astute tongue or mouth. So it means simulated. So it's a feigned legation. It wasn't a real message. He wasn't bringing a real message. It was just a feigned one. So he was turning it over. Literally means revolving or something, but looks like he was rehearsing it. He rose up, repente suddenly, and with his evaginated sica, his sica was out of its vagina or its sheath, so it was unsheathed. From under his vest, he made an impetus or a bit of an attack on with the accusative to the king. He made an attack on the king. Quodcum, which when Lilla saw it, a minister most friendly of the king, not having his own scutum or shield at hand, by which he could defend the king from death, he soon or quickly interposed his body, before the strike of the pungentus, before the strike of the dagger. Sed tanta vi, but with such force of the enemy, he infixed the ferrum, he stuck in the iron with such force, that through the body of the dead soldier even he wounded the king, who, when soon from everywhere he was sought with swords, in the same tumult even another from the soldiers, to whom the name was Ford Herai, the Nefandus Sika, this cursed sort of dagger, perimeter that killed this other fella. Another paragraph. Moreover, in the same night, most sacrosanctum night of the Easter of the Lord, they gave birth, the queen, a daughter for the king, to whom the name was Eanfled or something. And when this same king, with Paulinus the bishop present, was aggravating some thanks to God, even though it's plural, for the birth to him of a daughter, the bishop began to give thanks to Domino Christo, to Jesus Christ, the Lord, whatever, to a strew for the king, that by his own prayers he had obtained this amongst him. He had gotten this had happened through him, that the queen was safe and free from any severe pain. She had procreated this offspring, Chilius, of which the king was delighted with these words of him, that's the bishop. He promised himself, with all idols abrenunciated, renounced or something, that serviturum, he would serve Christ, the dative. If life to him in victory, he would give in a fight against the king, from which this homicidal maniac with a poisoned sword, which had wounded him, had sent. So he wanted victory against the king who had sent the assassin. Okay, Daily Dictionary. Abrenuncio, to renounce, often used as a strengthened form of renuntio. No passive or supine. Okay, what have we got? In the filling out of this promised pledge, he assigned to the Bishop Paulinus this same daughter for consecration to Christo, who was baptized in the sanctum day of Pentecost, prima. She was the first baptized from the race of the Northumbrians, with 11 others from his family Eos. Quo tempore, in which time he was cured from the wound inflicted on himself pridem, the day before or earlier. The king, with his collected army, went versus against the race of the Western Saxons, and with the war initiated, universally all those who had conspired in his death that he learnt of, he either killed or he received them in surrender. Siqui, and thus, victor, into his homeland he reversed. Not immediately and without consultation did he want to perciprate, didn't want to take part in these sacraments of the Christian faith, although nec ultra he wasn't any longer serving idols, from then which he had promised he would serve Christ, but in the first place he was rather diligently, when he had time, and from the venerable man Paulinus, the bishop, from him himself, he was learning thoroughly the reasoning behind the faith, or of the faith, and with his primates, his leading advisors and citizens, who he knew were sapentior, who were wiser, he took some care to confer with them concerning what ought to be done. This is what they were thinking ought to be done. Sedet, but also himself, when he was a vir, a man, by nature very sagacious, very wise, often for a long time alone he would be sitting, indeed with his mouth quiet, but in the intimacy of his heart he was talking with himself much about what he should be doing and handling what religion he should serve, thinking about what religion he should follow.